Okay, hello, welcome back to another game of chess. Here we are facing the move d4. I'm going to play c5, the old Benoni, against a 23-16. We're looking to play, hopefully, a nice little Benko gambit. Yes, please, b5. My opponent is presumed... What kind of nonsense is this? How have I never seen this before? If this is prep that can possibly work, it looks like the kind of thing I really should have seen. I feel like it makes sense. It seems like the kind of logical move. It was played with the confidence and speed. And again, maybe I'm falling for my opponent's rating here, but this seems like a move that might have a little bite to it. Clearly, I'm now compelled to take one of two ways. I do not want to just allow this. I guess taking this way makes some sense, but then I don't get this kind of nice takes, open my files. I could also go for b4, which I am quite a big fan of. We kind of restrict the development of the knight. Maybe look to play a5. I think... man, this is already a major fork in the road that will kind of define the structure of the game. I reckon, what do I reckon? I'm going to go for b4. I'm going to try and restrict the development of the knight. They play an immediate b3. We're going to go g6 and bishop g7 and get the hell on that diagonal. Yes, please. Also looking to play d6 and prevent an immediate e5 from being so potent. Possibly I play a5 at some point. We can castle. Okay, right, this is, I'm kind of rushing here. This is clearly a setup my opponent's very familiar with. I don't hate my position. I'm sure it's very reasonable right now. Although, hold on, did I not? No, okay. I was thinking maybe I have some knight d5 idea. However, in general, I get this kind of position when they've got their pawn still on a2, such that if here I can maybe take en passant and, you know, open up a nice little hole for the knight to come in and harass the queen maybe. a5 still seems like a reasonable move to, you know, secure this, prevent any further movement here. But then I do feel as though after a5, I should probably be looking for... This is really cool. If this is actually prep that works, by the way, this is really, really cool. But I need myself a pawn break. I need to play e6. If I don't make a pawn break, I'm going to have no room to do anything with my pieces from the queen side. You know, it's just, I'm biting on granite over here with everything being closed up. This should be dubious if I know anything about chess. The problem is I don't know anything about chess, and so maybe it's actually completely fine. What I might have done is created a serious backwards pawn, and I might legitimately just get rolled now with a pawn storm. Okay, this is not a great attitude to start with. I'm being negative. I am not believing in myself. If I take like this, there's never a chance of me pushing this pawn. Which again, I want to push all these pawns. Like if I can do this and then this and then this and, you know, I mean, tear everything open. I want to get at this king. You've castled behind this closed pawn structure. I want to open it up. So if bishop takes, it just feels like I never get to play this. If pawn takes, on the other hand, I could be being foolish, but I bring the pawn across to the e-file to then say, maybe this isn't so backwards anymore. Maybe now I can bolster this with a knight, with a queen, with a pawn, possibly with a bishop, and look to play a very speedy d5. Try to make that pawn break and say, listen, if you ever take like this and then take here, we sort of develop and rook c8, etc., etc. It feels as though the kind of pawn break, taking with the pawn, maybe looking for another pawn break, should be vaguely the right idea, even though I softened some stuff up, of course. Like, for instance, if ever the bishop gets out to here, my king is looking a little exploitable. I could go for this and threaten a fork. You can probably defend it relatively easily. Like, move the knight, although where the hell do you move that knight? Nowhere forward, and you're not really going to want to play knight b1, so this could be half a decent idea, but then again, you maybe just trade this, and I don't really relish that. Do I go for this straight away, or do I go maybe for a bit of this? They could play e5. I really don't know. Something tells me that while I have the opportunity to, this d5 pawn break seems to make some sense. Now, maybe I'm just opening up the d-file, my queen's there and your rook's there. Maybe I'm actually improving this bishop. Maybe I'm improving my opponent's entire position. Now, I mean, yeah, I'm down a pawn temporarily. If I go queen here, obviously I lose my queen. If I go here, you'd imagine that some move where, you know, there's a pin, or maybe there's a pin like this, and then you move the knight and just keep mounting pressure on that pin piece. Maybe I can get away with it. I think I'd rather not, though. As in, not that I'd rather not get away with it, but I'd rather not even risk anything to do with taking here. Genuinely, actually, hold on. Why would I not play bishop f5? I'm going for bishop f5. You want to take this? Be my guest. As I said, that's an open c file. We're opening this up. We're looking with some... No. I just don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. The sort of shroud of the aura, the mystique that my opponent had by being 2300 and going for this very speedy a4 idea, that veil of perceived strength has fallen from their shoulders. There is no way this works. I don't trust this. This whole game so far, I've been kind of just vaguely trusting everything my opponent's been doing. This makes no sense. You have an open c file, your king cannot flee to b1 immediately. I can go knight to a6 to play rook here, maybe knight here so that you can't even trade it off, and that you have to move your queen. Knight d7, you must move your queen. If you stay on this file, well actually hold on, you can't stay here or here because I control these squares. Yeah, no, you must be dead. Here, again, my idea was that if you go back to one of these squares, then after this, you'd be able to play like a bishop here or a knight here to not lose the queen. But if you go here, you lose the queen. If you go here, you also lose the queen. I know I'm switching the colors up so much. If you go here, then you're kind of in the way of this. And if you stay on this file this way, you know, knight d7, queen here or here, rook c8, thank you very much. So, knight d7, the queen may not stay on the c file. Therefore, she has to vacate the c file here, here. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Possibly here, but there might be some knight h5. I don't know. It seems like a reasonable move. Here, whatever. You get off the c file, I go check, and then maybe you block, but come on now. I think it's knight d7. I don't know. I've waffled on about that for a while and lost a lot of my time. I don't believe in this. Sure, bring your queen in. How can that be not the move? This has to be the move. You have to block? Sure. Bishop here. Your knight's currently pinned. Oh my lord, hold on. Do I have There's no way I'm not completely winning. I need to now play with the confidence of someone who's completely winning. Bishop h6. This is a Canada move. If you block, maybe I go here. That looks pretty damn nasty. You don't have a check. Oh, man, right. You can't get away with this. I don't care what your rating is. You can't get away with this. Knight here. Hello. We put pressure on the pin piece. These bishops are the greatest I've ever seen. We attack the queen. Where do you go? Not here, because my knight holds. You don't stay here, you don't go here, you don't go here. We're ruling out a whole lot of squares. Queen a6, do I care? No. I mean, all my pieces are becoming excellent. Maybe I should have done this immediately. It's possible. But I like giving this check and just immobilizing this piece. Again, what you have right now are two knights that have no legal moves, two rooks that have precisely one legal move each. This is not a good position. Your bishop has two legal moves, which, again, your queen's hanging. How many? Queen's got a bunch of legal moves, but a lot of them hang it. You can't go here, nor here, nor here, because obviously we're holding all of these squares. You can't go here, nor here, nor here. Yeah. Good game. Get out of here. Do you want to take back? I don't think so. What on earth was that? I mean, honestly, I genuinely don't think they had anything really that much more resilient. Obviously, they had something more resilient than hanging their queen there immediately. But if we look at the analysis, g4 best move. G4 best move. Because when I take here, you do this. Genuinely, their best move is to hang their queen there. If they move across like this, no one cares. I was genuinely considering this. I'm saying the word genuinely a little too much, because if you go like this, we of course take here. There's gonna be all manner of, oh my lord, look at the state of this. Sorry, I just got a Lichess notification. Loco Chess Move says, have I ever considered becoming a coach? Hello, Loco Chess Moves, if you're watching this video. What a great segue. I promise I didn't set this up. But I do, if you're vaguely interested, off the back of that, if you're a beginner or an intermediate level player, if you like the way I play, you fancy emulating the style, you want to get some one-on-one coaching, check out willtaylorchess.com. There is a taster session you can book there for a tenner. I do have limited spaces for clients because I like making videos all the time. I don't want to just do 8 calls a day and make that entire thing my job, but as a kind of way to bolster my income from this whole YouTube endeavor, I do quite a lot of that. So if you are interested, check it out. It's not something that I advertise often because, you know, I don't think I'm a chess genius. I do think, however, that I'm very good at teaching anyone, I mean, basically anyone lower rated than me, although if you start getting pretty close, I don't know if I'd recommend you get one. I'm not really sort of hard selling this, but if you're like a beginner or intermediate level chess player and you want to learn how to play like me, then, you know, check it out if you're vaguely interested. Anyway, just gonna hit him with an absolutely mate, willtaylorchess.com. Ha ha ha. I'm not trying to be sarcastic there, but I'm reading that out and don't wish to actually laugh. Yeah, that was an absolute dismantling. Now, I'm gonna go through this methodically, chronologically, from the start, of course. C5 will request a computer analysis. This hasn't loaded yet, apparently. We'll see it load. I don't feel as though... Oh, hold on. I did give away some advantage. Okay, interesting. There was a blunder, which was d5. Why was d5 a blunder? Damn it, really? Oh my lord, no way. This actually was the best move, knight here. Because I guess, like... How were you going to defend that? Knight b1? Or, oh no, I think I didn't like the bishop trade. But then knight b1, yeah. I guess you kind of had to. And then apparently I just walk in. You kick this and I pivot in. Takes, and then I thought, like, oh, obviously not f4, excuse me. I guess, wow, that idea was actually far more potent than expected, but, you know, d4, we go for this Benko gambit, the Sosonko variation, fantastic. This is played, apparently the Masters database as well, 2% of the time. How heavily Yeah, another 2% of the time in the lead chess database. It's reasonable. Apparently, the top move is b takes c4. Queen a5 looks to be the best move, but then, well, and then b4? Why? Just induce this bishop move so you can't fianchetto immediately. That could be part of it. I like my b4. I think we're going to stick with that if I ever see this. Then, again, the e6 break immediately. Hold on. Loco Chess Moves has said say less, so cheers, Loco Chess Moves. Appreciate you. Leave a comment if you're watching this video. But yeah, this g6, fianchettoing the bishop. I mean, this is all like dead flat along the eval, so we're not really too worried about, you know, actually analyzing this much, going for this setup. And then a5 probably was unnecessary, and I should have gone for the e6 straight away, the engine suggesting, but then e6 was the right opportunity, or right idea rather. fe6 was absolutely correct to eventually play d5. However, oh no, maybe it was because of the open f file. Maybe that was all it was. Knight here, knight g4 was genuinely very potent. I kind of wanted to keep this bishop, but I mean, I think I correctly addressed the fact that knight b1 is what you have to play here, and then, like, what is this knight doing? Knight c6, and I didn't really consider how exciting this would be. I kind of just really wanted to go for this pawn break, but apparently c takes here, and then, okay, bishop b5. Yeah, the bishop gets improved by this. If I go for this, or if I don't go for this, rather, your bishop's kind of biting on its own pawns, and yeah, I understood this maybe was slightly dubious in the moment, but then bishop f5, obviously this didn't make any sense, although the fact that they can even survive this is impressive. Queen here is a blunder, queen here, I kind of thought knight h5, yeah, and then queen h4, rook c8, knight comes here, oh no, knight comes here and you lose apparently, bishop, oh, because bishop h6, fair enough. Here I have a rook sack, then bishop h6, I mean, it's still, this is fascinating stuff still. I'm sure I would have been able to press for an advantage, but the queen missteps. We come over here, you block like this, bishop h6, thanks very much. Get back with your knight. Knight e4, thanks very much. Give me your queen, thanks very much. Obviously, I'm completely winning there. Absolutely dismantled. You know what? I'm thinking it's time for a double episode. We're going to do another game of Rapid. A 2-for-1. I mean, don't say I don't treat you right. Make sure you smash subscribe. Make sure you check out the Patreon if you're interested. We're plugging all sorts today. Oh, hold on. Is this going to have been a sponsored video? This would be an absolute joke if I'd plugged like 3 different things. My bad if that's the case. This might have all aligned, and I'm not just trying to sell you everything under the sun. Please feel free to just enjoy the content for free. However, I'm also trying to make a living off this, so forgive me. Anyway, e4. We're going into game 2. Hopefully the second game. Damn it. Okay, they go for g6. I've been playing h4 recently. Not recently, for ages actually. But I've been considering maybe switching it up recently because people play h5 and don't let me go for my h5. Here I can play h5. I get to play h5, and you know what? I relish being able to play h5. Thank you very much. We're going to bite on this hook immediately. Knight here. Is this... I've seen this before. I can at the very least play h6, force this, and then maybe even e5, and start just really kicking about your pieces. Also playing e5 straight away here, and then securing this, and eventually just saying that's an open h. Now, you know what? h6. Only move that makes any sense. e5. Only move that makes really any sense. I guess going here could work, but don't you get your knight trapped, possibly? So they come here. We start kicking about the pieces immediately with this outrageous little opening idea. Is c4 a move? I don't really think so. I think I want to castle this way, maybe. I don't want to cause myself any headache. Bishop c4, though, this seems to make some sense, because if knight b6, I can just tug back here and have this pressure along here, of course, and that seems to be precisely what's going to happen. Right, stuff seems to make sense in my position. I don't know, maybe you're going to play e6 at some point and shut this down, but then squares like f6 become a massive problem. Your dark squares become even weaker. I'm owning them already, so... it kind of, you know, it's a bit of a catch-22 there. Don't actually really know what that means, so I hope I've used it correctly. Is f4 a good idea? If f4, do you just play d6? Kind of run into a danger trying to, like, hold on to this pawn at all costs, and then it kind of just falls apart. Like, f4, d6, maybe knight f3? Takes. It's not the worst thing in the world. I think I will go f4. Maybe this is a problem. Actually, no, it's not. Excuse me. My rook holds h4. Right. I'm definitely doing some dodgy stuff here. 1,000,000% doing some dodgy stuff. But this seems to make some sense. I'm hoping that I gain +6 from this win. I say this win, I'm being a little presumptuous there, but, you know, every single time I play a game of chess, it's a win. Unless I decide to have mercy on my opponents, of course. Kind of like the Chael Sonnen of the chess game. Let's play knight f3. Defend this. Bishop g4 is a little concerning. Maybe queen e2. I don't really know what's going on. I still like keeping the pawn here. Might be a bit of an overextension. Maybe I should have gone like takes, so that bishop g4 is not a move. This... I thought you could put pressure on like this, but don't I have like a simple queen here? Feels like, I don't know, I'm not getting in the way of anything. My bishop's already out and sitting on a pretty diagonal. I feel fine here. I feel more than fine. I feel like your bishop sucks. I feel like it's not obvious You know, if you want to do this, be my guest. They do now go for bishop g4. I've been hypothesizing that this is going to be the move for the past 20 minutes and still not done anything about it. How outrageous is this? I guess we're going to find out. I haven't developed any of these pieces. I haven't pushed a B nor a D pawn, so I can't even move my dark square bishop, but hello. You take this, knight g5. Then I can at least take this. Everything looks like it falls up, but you cannot take this bishop, I'm convinced. There's a double check here waiting for you. I've got a rook on the open F file. This, honestly, feels slightly slow. Taking that pawn, although I'm sure it's kind of a decent idea, I feel like you shouldn't have cashed in on that immediately. You've got to move the king now. This way, probably sucks. You walk into the open F file. Here, who knows, we might have e6. Probably this move's forced. Then, I don't know. We'll see. I haven't really got that far. But, I mean, it's an outrageous little idea. Double check. Double check and give me the... Nah, man, what the hell? Why would you take that? I guess if they ran away, they were just going to concede. Hey, excuse me? Obviously, this is not hanging immediately, but I do, of course, have this move. This is a threat. Do you want to take this? Really? Because your dark squares are extremely weak, and if you do that, d4, queen h6, that looks kind of nasty. Force the king to here. Can't move the rook. I mean, maybe they can just... Are you telling me that you're okay here? Because if you're okay here, then I'm not going to be okay here. I just pointed to my heart. I don't know. That wasn't even a good joke. The punchline was off screen. That's how bad that joke was. The fact that my dark square bishop is currently unable to move is a serious problem. Giving this check, forcing the rook to... Yeah, right. We're starting with this. I don't know why I'm even hesitating. Obviously, forcing this only move, unless you want to give me your queen, has to be a good idea because now the rook cannot move. You're up a pawn temporarily. I just don't really care that much because, as I've said, you can't move. d4, we hit the queen. You can't take with the queen because I've got my knight defending this square. So your queen has to move. You can't go here with check because my bishop holds. So you don't have a check. Unless you have this as an intermezzo, that would be kind of annoying actually. Because then my king goes here, you go queen h5, takes. No, but then I just take like this. d4. Let's attack the queen. Let's attack the bishop. I don't know. Maybe this works. I'm kind of hoping it doesn't. Because after king h1, if you... Well, yeah, if you take, I just take your queen actually. Hold on. So bishop e3, if you do this and like, you know, bishop e3, king here, trade the queens, takes in the end, I just win a bishop. Also, I mean, we're blockading this pawn. You have no legal moves with your king. This kind of feels like, I mean, not necessarily game over, but maybe game over. Am I not? Where are you? I might have just played the most disgusting. They do go for this bishop move, but I just go here, right? King here. You want to do this? You're giving me a free bishop. We just trade and then take. And then it's bishop h6 if you give me the opportunity and don't play h6 yourself, which is probably the only real move that holds on to anything there. I'm going to be up a piece if you give me this check. Also, how do you hold on to this bishop if you don't give me this check? Like, you've got to move your queen right now. Your queen is hanging. You're not going to take my knight. You're not going to go here, nor here, nor here, because my rook, of course, holds these squares. You're not going to go to here because my queen holds this. At the very least, if you go here, I can win a bishop. I just think I'm completely winning, and honestly, I might be a genius. I don't know. Kingside castles, outrageous idea. Probably they blundered by taking my bishop on f7. Let's be real. They might have had a more resilient defense. That... No way, get off. Is that actually a move? Oh, I didn't think about that at all. Damn it. Why couldn't this have just all worked perfectly? Why, oh why could this not have all just worked completely perfectly without any further questions, Your Honor? God, what a... Damn it. Okay, takes. If you take... Man, how... Starting with this, I guess. If I can, like, bring this in and this in, I just don't have the time. Do you take this? Very plausibly. If I can get my bishop to h6, I still think I'm probably winning, even if I'm down a couple pawns, because then there's just no universe where you ever move this rook. I did not see this move. That is most unfortunate. Good find from my opponent. Probably I should have seen it. They take my bishop, though, giving me a chance to keep the knight alive, of course. I could take, but then just takes. Oh, no, but then check. Hold on. What? So takes. What do you take with the pawn? Yeah, probably. It takes, take with the pawn. I don't have any knight moves. Unless I do. Unless takes, here, you take, I go check, you go here. I go, can drive you to h6. Is that actually useful? I would like to be able to give this check, actually. Do you know what? Here. I don't think you can take with the queen, because I give this check, and probably bad stuff happens to your position. I think you should therefore take with the pawn. I think then I'm going to play knight d2. and say, oh no, my knight. Maybe hope chess. Maybe I'm just developing a piece and trying to play rook e1 quickly and give this check. I think that's a more favorable interpretation of events. I'm really annoyed by the fact that there was knight d4 there and that just solved everything. Because this was shaping up to be something absolutely genius and my opponent evidently stumbled across that. Right? If I go check and you go here, there's obviously problems. If I go check and you go here, why do I not have check? And then king g5, and then check, and then king h6, and then mate on h4. Hold on. Check, king here, check, king here, check. You then have to go king h5, right? Right, I believe in this. I believe in this. Maybe I should have calculated queen f7 a little more, but the fact that we can then immediately get back here and the king's forced to g5 at the very least feels like we should be, you know, justifiable. Or rather, the pawn way down should be justified. After here, check, you have to go to h5. I don't know if that's useful. I don't know why I'm not seeing a mate here. Maybe there's not a mate. Feels like there should be, though. It wouldn't be preposterous to just play rook f1. That genuinely seems pretty reasonable. So I might even be threatening some kind of check takes. Check here, check here, check here, something. I don't know. Check. I mean, I at least have a draw, which is nice to know. I don't really want a draw right now. Here. It'd be pretty funny to play king h2, rook a1, king g1. I just don't think I have the time to do so. Here, king h5. I could play g3. I'm actually not checkable here. The back rank's held and you can't get onto this diagonal. You don't have like a queen d5, for instance. So g3 might not be stupid. I am threatening mate in 1 on h4. How do you stop it? Is h5 a problem? Possibly. Because then what? Check. King h6. You hold this diagonal with your queen. That's the problem. Okay. Check. Okay, I can start with this because at the very least I can repeat and get back to the same position. Might as well just give them the chance to blunder mate in 1, right? Also just pass the clock to them while I keep thinking. Here. Then rook f1 to play here, check. And then again, the queen's just annoyingly holding stuff. Or actually after this, I just play rook f4. That could be pretty awesome. So you know when I said just give them the chance to blunder mate in 1? That's fascinating. That's legitimately... I mean, I don't know how you think for that long and then play the... You've got 2 moves. One of them loses the game on the spot. The other one doesn't. I mean, it probably, you know, was terrible as we can see from the end of the graph here. But, hold on, this was zeros? Or did I always just have a perpetual? Oh dear. Oh dear. We're falling off a cliff down here. All of this was kind of all right. I'm getting unbelievably tired, so I'm going to cut this analysis. It's like 1:30 in the morning. That's probably why I'm playing such outrageously dumb chess. But I did make one mistake. I'm going to do a very brief analysis of this game. It was already a double episode. I don't want to hear any complaints in the comments. But, you know, this made some sense. I just want to double check, actually. Was this the correct idea? H6? Yeah. H6, bishop f8, e5, knight comes here. Should have gone for d4. I'll keep that in mind for the future. And then if takes, I guess, apparently c4? Wow. c4 is interesting. You take en passant. Excuse me. c4's not that interesting. If here, c5, here, then bishop here, e6, take. Pick this up, triple pawns. I have this maybe. Okay, I'm gonna look at that for the future, I reckon, like d4 and then c4. But fine. This was a correct approach. And then if we look at the graph here, yeah, all reasonable stuff until I make this mistake. Doing a lot of silent looks to camera this episode for good reason. They obviously pick up my pawn and I say bank. What? Apparently this just was not winning at all. Because they could have just gone takes, and then no. Because why is this so good? Because I just have a completely undeveloped queenside? Good point. Didn't really think about that. I guess, what if I just take and go like d3? Rook f5 and just everything collapses? Wow, okay. I really thought after bishop f7 they shouldn't take. I thought winning this back, I thought we'd have a lot of interesting ideas with the check here, etc. They could have just removed this and that would have been very winning. Because again, I just don't have enough development to go for a kind of interesting, super exciting a sack like this. Now, knight e6 is good. Knight f7 was also interesting, but I like knight e6. Then d4. And they had to find bishop e3, which they did. And then they kind of had to find this, although apparently they could have played pawn takes. Which, again, I'm kind of an idiot because I didn't even think about that. These were probably both very obvious moves. Queen e3 and I just don't really have much. But, what the hell? because bang, and then, you know, there's all sorts of shenanigans probably inbound. I'm just thinking that, you know, this is still definitely worth including as part of this video, because we go takes, knight d2. You don't want to take that. You don't want to take my pony. Now, again, this was a drawn position because I probably have some kind of perpetual eventually. Actually, it's them that has the perpetual. What the hell? Here, and then they should just keep going like this, or maybe rook f8 first. Then I can just take, and go... No, knight f3, what? I mean, their king's clearly quite weak. Their rook also sucks, so we had counterplay, but we set a little trap. Sorry, let me get back onto the actual game that happened. With developing this knight, I think, you know what, I can't develop this knight. Actually, I can, because if you go here, check, king g7, rook f7, king h6, queen h3, king g5, queen g3, and then, of course, they blunder mate. Having, if they did rather, sorry, play this king to h5, it would have had force mate anyway. Rook e1 being a powerful threat. I wonder, would rook f4 have been decent? They can just sack the queen. Yeah, so rook f4, they would have had to sack the queen to not get mated. Yeah, bring the rook down to threaten the mate here. If you go for something like g5, then check, and then here, and then check, and then here, and then g4, and then here, and what the hell is going on? I have, like, this as a threat? I'm sure I could have just followed my nose and found the eventual winning lines, but yeah, this rook e1 idea as well. Hopefully, looking at this position with king to h5, I'd have seen the idea to play rook e1 as well. Threaten the check. You've got to go for this sack, apparently. Why is the engine not thinking that that's mate anymore? Just says plus 6.4. Okay, whatever. I was completely winning, but of course, king h6, checkmate. A little cherry on top there. A full Rapids game worth of a cherry on top for the rest of the video. Hopefully 2 entertaining games. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you immensely for watching. Check out the Patreon if you want to see more videos like this. I upload an exclusive one there every single Sunday. There should be 29 or 30 up right now. You can go and access at the mere click of a few buttons and parting ways with approximately £8. Thank you very much for your support of the channel if you do choose to do so. If you don't, if you're not remotely interested, your viewership is nevertheless hugely appreciated. Thank you so much for watching again. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Hasta la vista. Goodbye.